Oh, it is? Oh, now it is. Okay. Well, here we go. Okay, so let me share. Why can't I share? Hold on. Uh,
Tracy's host.
yeah, no, I got. I'm good. Thank you. I'm just waiting for it to load. Okay. Okay, so we are at number 277 today. Still pinching myself with all these numbers. I'm sure everybody's aware we've gone to an every other week since I became president a few months ago, just to uh, give us a little breathing room, as well as just making sure the content is great. And thank you, Melinda. Melinda has now taken over all the fireside chats. She does all of the execution. She does all of the promotional material and sends out the reminders to a list of how many, Melinda? It's close to 800 people, right?
Yeah,
That get invited to this.
760.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty substantial, right?
The
It's actually
reminders and the remainders.
yeah. There you go. Perfect. Right. So today so today's all about advising clients on Microsoft 365 Copilot, and I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, so again, we've got Brendan. That's the wrong date. Sorry, I missed that. But two quick polling questions here for you. And let me go to that. Come on. Oh my gosh, my machine is so slow. I got a new machine, by the way. I just have to build it. Oh yeah, this is going way too slow. Um, yeah. Yeah, this is too slow. This is not working. Oh, hold on. Maybe I got it. Okay. So the question is, how are you using MS Copilot? All the time, frequently, regularly, somewhat, not at all. Please vote. This is you personally now, okay? Mr. Clardy, how are you today?
Great, thanks, Steve.
Good. How's Atlanta weather today?
Well, bad thunderstorms last night and the sun just came out.
Oh, cool. Okay, let me end the poll. Thanks, everybody. And I will share the results as soon as my little prompt comes up here. I gotta shut off half these windows here. Um, anyway, I can share the results with you verbally as this starts to, oh, here it goes. Okay. So you'll see that most everybody, it's in the number 4 or 5 category, somewhat or not at all, which two voted all the time. So does anybody want to share how they're doing with that, how they're enjoying that or not enjoying it? Anybody? There were two that voted.
Sure. I use it all the time. Um,
Okay.
Predominantly because from a security perspective, we want it so that the data is isolated to our tenant so that we have Microsoft 365 tenant for our business. So I like using it. It's not perfect. You have to kind of know what you're doing. It's took a few months of figuring out the prompts and things like that. I'm using it a lot for writing. It's horrible for diagrams. So diagrams, don't use it for. Use Gemini. Um, Gemini's way better at diagrams. It's horrible at diagrams. But writing, it's actually pretty good, especially once you get it trained a little bit on your writing style, and you give it enough samples for each individual use case
Mhm.
that you're going to do it. So I do it for no no writing large language model AI is excellent at writing. It's
Mhm.
great for generating the draft. So I generally do my brainstorming with it, and then I will write a draft, and then I will edit it manually because it overpromises like you wouldn't believe. And even though I've been training it not to, it's getting better, but it's not there yet.
Well, then
It's it,
it's basically saying how good you are there, Scott, and you don't even
yeah,
know it.
it heavily overpromises. Uh, like so at scopes of work. So we do a lot for proposals, scopes of work. Uh, working on uh content for articles and website content and things like that. Again, it's only as good as what you feed it.
Uh-huh.
So I do a lot of, give it the overview, give it all the data that I want to use. It does the
Hmm.
first draft, and then I edit the hell out of it so that it
Well,
doesn't overpromise and gets everything right. But speeds me up by about, I would say it probably cuts my time in half on any one of those activities, at least, maybe even
Wow.
better.
Excellent. 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 Oh, and I sent you a side note yesterday, so take a look in your email when you have a second.
Yeah,
So,
it's flagged for me to read. I haven't got to it yet. It's been a busy morning.
yeah, put it into Copilot. It'll expand it too for you. So the second question is, do your clients understand from their point of view the current MS Copilot risks? Yes, completely. Yes, to a large degree. Yes, but needs some work. Yes, somewhat needs more work. Not at all. Please vote. And again, we don't know all the inner sanctum things around our clients, but we know the Copilot, you've obviously got Microsoft letting you know to get started every time you open up Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, whatever. They're just all, they're in your face all the time now. Okay, almost done with the poll here. Thanks, everybody. And so, Scott, again, from your point of view, what are you seeing there with the clients from their point of view, I should say?
Um, so from clients' perspective, I think that where they're very concerned about the what I call shadow AI in
Yeah.
organizations. So
Hmm.
this is their because they're already buying this as part of their Microsoft 365 suite to a degree, at least the
Hmm.
base version. They're starting there. Um, but what they're realizing is that their governance model in general is non-existent in a lot of cases around AIs,
Hmm.
particularly, and they haven't got no way of monitoring from a shadow AI perspective. So that's the two big things that from a risk perspective, I think that they're coming up with. I think
Uh-huh.
Brendan's going to go a lot deeper than I am right now, but
Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
that's the governance side and then the shadow AI are the two biggest
Yeah,
things that
yeah. I think and go ahead, finish your thought. Sorry.
oh, go ahead. I was done.
No, I was going to say, it really goes back to cyber security or any kind of security for that matter. That's really the opportunity here, so which is huge. Okay. So I'll stop the share. Thanks everybody. And I'm sure you saw that, number 3 and 4 and 5 were the winners here. And the big one being knows a little bit, somewhat, but needs more work. Okay. So thanks to everybody for that. A big thank you from 2 weeks ago to Jeremy Markey, who is affiliated with Vertical Networks, who really gave us what the customers are really buying in a CCAS decision. If you really want to get a lot of data around how customers are buying these days, including the politics of it, his presentation was excellent. He had all kinds of data and charts and worth listening or watching again if you haven't done so. Again, members only at this point for any replays, okay? So famous quote, I love this to death. The letters C, X, and Q will be abandoned because they're unnecessary. And I love the fact that the two letters were CX right up front. Like we don't will be eliminated. Okay, does anybody know who actually said that? This was actually, believe it or not, by John Watkins, who was the curator of mechanical technology for Smithsonian in 1900. Okay, but yeah, we should give, if we can get him on a Star Trek time travel up to date, he'll be a little bit shocked.
Hmm.
So, Fran, over to you for happy hour.
Absolutely. We'll have happy hour tomorrow. We do it every other week. We'll have to see if we continue this cadence. But, I have to tell you, I went to a Forrester event and it was for AR people, and we had a full day on AI and it was incredible. So I think we need to talk about AI tomorrow, how you're using it and how you want to use it. There's so many different tools, and oh my gosh, there are Gemini that gives you the very beginning of things, and then you go into all sorts of different tools that are available. So yeah, anybody that's interested in talking about how they're using AI and how they want to use it, please join us. Let's talk. Bring a beverage. I'm sure it'll be creative. Thanks,
There
Steve.
is so much going on that topic. It's over the top. And, Gartner always talks about this hype cycle. I think we're in hype cycle on total steroids at this point. It's just over the top. So, sorry, I've opened up too many windows here. Where am I? Okay, thanks, Fran.
Thanks,
Uh,
Steve.
okay, Dave, over to you.
Hi, Steve.
Hey,
Happy Wednesday to everyone. I can't believe we're almost approaching 300 fireside chats. It's crazy.
yeah.
Well, I have to give a big shout out to our friends at Wesley Clover. They volunteered to be on a committee last week while I was meeting with them in Ottawa. And
Mm-hmm.
just want to
How
shout
good.
out to any other VAC members that want to get super involved with what's going on at the SCTC and behind the scenes. It's a great way to network and get to know our fellow consultants and friends here on the call. So reach out to me if you're interested. And I got to tell you, looking at the notes from our calls every week for our conferencing planning committee, this thing is turning out to be a fantastic event,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want to miss this year. Whether you're a consultant or a vendor or an analyst, this is the year to attend. So, looking forward to seeing
No
everybody in
question.
Dallas and bring your cowboy boots.
Yep, and bring your better half if you want. There's going to be plenty to do on all fronts. And
Thanks.
so, yeah, so with that, let me see. Denise, are you on?
Yes, I am. How is
Okay, well,
everyone?
go ahead. I'll let you talk first.
Okay. As Dave said, the conference planning committee is just going gangbusters in planning and so forth. Our call for speakers is open. We've gotten some real good topics already submitted, but the call for speakers closes on the 15th of May. So if you have a great story, a big win, a success story, a compelling solution to a problem using AI or anything in that realm, we would love to hear from you. There are other suggested topics on the call for speakers, so take a look at what's on the website and submit. We would love to have you.
Well, thanks, Denise. And so,
Mhm.
just back to me real quick. As president, so there's a lot going on in our world. Tracy Venters, and thank you, Fran, for all of these transitions that are been happening. Tracy's killing it. You've killed it with the transition. You're both on board. Tracy has pretty much taken it all on at this point and has become, is this true, Tracy, a glue up expert at this point? I'm just kidding.
That would definitely be a stretch. I don't think a glue up expert exists. Maybe Denise, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Exactly. Yeah, but behind the scenes, Melinda's learned quite a bit, for these fireside chats and promos and all that, which is all part of Gloop as well. But the other thing is that we're growing a lot. Okay, we have our recruitment committee, and we also have our membership committee, and those are joining forces now, and they're going to be helping vote, both voting new members in candidates as well as help recruit new members. So we're going to literally almost triple our task force to make that happen. We have at least 2 to 3 new VAC members in addition to one that just got voted in that are happening very shortly. And we also have new consultant candidates that are also in the process or will be filing very shortly. They're all very active in terms of emails, etc. And we are growing our organization by a lot this year. Okay, I've got some very big goals for Mr. Chuck Vondra and the recruitment committee, and of course Carmelo Capizzulo along with that. So again, we'd love to see you also invite people. We've always learned that your highest uh, level of bringing people into anything is through referrals. Okay, so through people that you know. So we're not doing any cold calling here by growing our organization. It's all about, hey, I met you at Enterprise Connect, or by the way, I know you personally from another life, which Fran introduced us to, a new VAC member who is onboarding Spearfish, and that all became because Fran knows the individual who actually was her boss at one point, right, Fran, if I remember, right?
That's
So
correct.
what a very small world. So we're very excited. And again, I'd love for all of us to join in on that. And I want to see a record turnout with the conference, especially with new members. So again, a lot of things are happening this year, but let me stop my share. But that's all I wanted to share. But there's a lot of things going on, and I'm very excited about all of us. So Brendan, I'm going to give you the screen share, and you should be all set.
Awesome. All right. I'll send a request to share. Bingo, bingo. Right. Well, hello, everybody.
Hey there.
All right, see if this works. Can you guys see my screen?
It's coming. Yep, there you go. Just want to put it in presentation mode, right? And you're all set.
Bingo. All
Perfect.
right. Well, hello, everybody. For those that don't know me, my name is Brendan O'Brien. I'm with TMC. Officially been here around 15 years. Unofficially, I've been here my whole life. So, family-owned business. Anyway, so today we are talking about how an SCTC consultant can advise clients on my M365 Copilot. And really, I'm trying to do this more of a, I've built out some frameworks, I've borrowed some frameworks. At the end of this, I'm just hoping it drives discussions for us as consultants. All right. So, oh, and one other thing too, and I think Steve will appreciate this. We will be doing more AI topics. So, this is kind of the first one to that. But okay, so here's the topic. This is something we've been wrestling with more and more on our own client engagements, and I think folks on the call are going to agree with that. Microsoft is in virtually every computer, right? Even if you're on Mac, you still have Word, things like that. So Microsoft is everywhere. And the piece here is, what happens when the client deploys an AI tool before they're ready for it, which in this case is Copilot. And as consultants, what can we actually do about it? I'd like to keep this as a peer conversation. And sorry, what?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. All right.
Settings.
Hey, Carmelo. All right. So slide 2. So here's what we keep running into. Clients didn't roll out AI. That's kind of the statement here, right? The CIO flipped it on in a Microsoft renewal. And funny enough, I think Tracy or Melinda, when you posted this on LinkedIn, there's already been comments of people saying this exact thing under the post today. So, but it just showed up one day, right? And now we have Copilot reading everybody's data. So there's no strategy behind this that we're seeing. They haven't hired an AI consultant yet. The renewal came up. Copilot was just bundled in or offered as an upsell, right? IT enabled it because why wouldn't they? And now it's in production. Bang. So here's the quick things. One, the users are already using it. Adoption inside the enterprise has been faster than anything I've seen. And I'm sure that's the same for you guys. People love it, right? We saw Chuck's image that he put in the chat. Folks, whitewater rafting. I mean, that's a quick, easy prompt we can do. So AI can be fun. And I don't think people are going to go back. We used to all have to use Adobe, which some of us still do, but now you can do what you used to do in Adobe, right, in Copilot. Number 2, the risk is quiet. It's not loud. Your client isn't going to see the exposure until something happens. A breach, a subpoena, an audit, right? And at that point, it's already in production and it's kind of too late. Number 3.
Brendan,
yes,
your slides aren't advancing. Are you intending them to?
I'm still on slide 2, right?
Nope, you're on slide 1 in C.
Uh-oh. How about this? Maybe I'm just seeing it on my end.
Yeah, then you're not on my screen. You're not in presentation mode. We see all your slides on the left.
Okay. Well, uno momento here. So I hit slideshow. That doesn't change anything for folks, does it?
Hit the Copilot button in the top right. It might give you some tips.
Okay. Why don't we do this? So this was slide 2. If I want to pause here. You guys see that now?
Yeah, it looked like it was hanging because what I could see on top of that was like you're spinning. So
well,
anyway.
I'm always spinning, Tracy. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I didn't mean to bring up.
So here's what I was talking about, right? It's already in use. The risk is quiet. It's not loud. It's just going on in the background. And how do we, as SCTC consultants, get in? So I'll go to the next one here. Oh, the other point I wanted to make, point 3, was every one of us on this call, even if all we specialize in is TEMS, CCAS, UCAS, this is something that we can all talk about because it's in those systems that we talk about, right? And I'm hoping that at the end of this, I'll have kind of those answers. So
I push my ass and see what happens. You stupid ass. There you go.
Hey, Carmelo.
Sorry. I didn't realize I'm not on mute.
That's okay. You give him one for us.
all right. So here's some stats. This is really just from Microsoft's own Work Trends Index and Gartner. So these are not unseen stats. Some of these are from 2024, so these will probably actually increase. But 75% of knowledge workers now are using AI. That's today and above.
Wow.
78% of those folks are bringing their own AI tools, meaning they're using ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or SuperGrok on their personal accounts outside of IT oversight, right? So you have the corporate network, which is what they're supposed to be doing. But on top of it, they're bringing their own stuff, BYOD devices. Maybe they bring the laptop home with them. Hey, why don't I sign into my own ChatGPT account and take corporate documents and throw it into there? Hopefully Scott Murphy is raising his eyebrows. And the other one is 80% of enterprises have adopted a generative AI in some form, right? That could be for image generation, a note taker, summarize a meeting, things like that. Or in the marketing department, they're using it. So the takeaway, and this is really the question that I like to bring to a client meeting. It isn't whether your client is using AI, because we kind of already know that, right? It's whether anybody knows what they're using, on what data it's being used on, under what rules. That's the conversation. And most of the answers I get back when I answer that is, like, what's the data? What are you using on? They usually say, we're not sure, right? Pretty typical. So let me go to slide 4 here. Okay, so step 1. This is typically what we see, right? When Copilot just shows up at your door knocking, hey, I'm here, let me in, right? So the Microsoft renewal arrives. We get them every year. The clients get them every year. Copilot is either bundled into that new licensing tier or it's offered as an upsell, right? We probably all see that. 2, IT enables it in the tenant. The default settings. Now, here's the thing. The default settings gives it broad access, and that's things like SharePoint, your client's OneDrive, their Outlook, Teams. So whatever the user has access to, Copilot has access to, and that's kind of the scary thing. So step 3, and this is my favorite, the rollout email goes out, right? I've seen it verbatim. Copilot is now available for everyone. Have fun. That's not training, in my opinion, right? Have fun, try not to break it. That's the policy. That's the change management that they do. Step 4, obviously the employees, they start using it on real client data, confidential financial data, HR records, regulated data, no guardrails. Again, to something what Scott was talking about. And it's not that anybody did anything wrong, really, right? I mean, again, it just showed up here. IT did what they always do. Microsoft did what they always do. No hard feelings. And employees did what they always do. They used a tool that made their job easier, right? So the problem is that nobody slowed down to ask whether the controls match the capability. That's our opening right there for all of us on this call as a consultant. Let me go to step 5. All right. So when you walk into a client right now, you're going to find 3 gaps typically, right? Almost every time. The first gap, no governance foundation. There's no acceptable AI use policy. There's no approval process for new AI tools or features. There's no definition of what Copilot is or isn't allowed to touch, right? Again, it's just turned on. The second gap that we're going to find is the data classification doesn't match the AI reach. So that's the labels, right? They've been built for humans opening files. When you and I sit down at a computer, I sit down in my chair, I go, I click on it, I open it, I read it, right? But for an AI reading it, they're reading it across the entire environment. And I'm going to come back to this in a second. Gap three, back to the training. Nobody's really been trained on this, right? Executives don't know what they approved. Again, Microsoft renewal. Employees don't know what the risks are. IT doesn't actually know what the users are doing with the tool day to day, right? So each of these is a problem, but together that makes an engagement for us as consultants. All right, another stat here. There we go. Only 17% of organizations have a documented AI acceptable use policy. And that's from ISACA's 2024 event. So that has increased. I would put it more at 35, right? But when I quoted was 2024. So it is maturing, which is good. 83% are flying without one, though, if you take the 17%. And of the 17 that have one, most of them wrote it for ChatGPT back in 2023. Meaning it hasn't been updated since, right? So imagine you write a policy, hey, go have fun, and it doesn't get touched. And what did Steve say at the beginning of this? AI is going so fast, right? It's changing literally every day. So here's how I test the gap. I ask the client these typical 4 questions, right? 1, who approves a new AI tool or feature? Most of them can't answer this. What data is Copilot allowed to access? Again, usually the same answer. We don't know. What's the escalation path when it gets it wrong, right? Blank stares, it hallucinates. And who's accountable if sensitive data leaks through a prompt? Usually, again, they don't have an answer to that. So if they say, well, nobody is or not sure, that's our opening. Great. So you don't need to push it. You don't need to sell this thing. You just have to say, hey, is there something worth thinking about? And most clients will weigh in on that, right? I'm going to ask you some questions, blah, blah, blah. Slide 7. So this is going to break down each gap. So gap 2, this is, classification. So existing data classification schemes don't work for AI because they were built for, different threat model, essentially. Traditional classification assumes the human opens the document one at a time. Access equals intent to read, sensitive files sit in restricted folders, and most importantly, employees won't actually read everything they technically have access to. That's friction, there's time, right? Again, I have to sit, click, open, blah, 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 right? Copilot's different though. It reads and synthesizes access to everything it can see. Access doesn't equal intent. Access means content is now in answers, in summaries, in drafts going to clients. A single over-permission folder can surface company-wide. Scott, again, you've seen this. And it will read everything it accesses. That's the point of it. The whole point of it, right? You've given it access to everything. It's going to read everything, period. So another question to ask on a discovery call. When was the last time your SharePoint permissions were audited against who actually needs the content, right? We've seen this, folks leave, accounts get left open, things like that. Typically what I hear back, client hasn't done that in 3 and 5 years. They haven't actually gone back and looked at it. Hey, what did we give this thing access to, really? Sometimes longer. So that permissions debt was acceptable when humans were the only ones reading the files. But again, with Copilot in the mix, it's not anymore. It just isn't. So it has to be updated. All right, gap number 3. So this is more of the training. Chuck, yes.
Yeah, quick question. Can you go to what you just mentioned about restricting SharePoint folders to certain individuals? Can you restrict SharePoint folders so Copilot can't see them?
Yes, that is in the governance framework for Copilot when you turn it up. Typically, when an organization buys it, it's just set to default. And that's how most people interact with it because they get it. Oh, great, it's here. it's like getting into your car. You turn the car on, you drive off, right? You don't think about, I have to do this and that. And it's not like the car from Back to the Future, Marty, he had to punch all the different buttons before he could do anything. So
as an example, just to follow up, Brendan, sorry to interrupt, but let's say that I'm a company and I have a separate folder that I review with management that has sensitive employee information in it. and I only have certain folks within the organization have access to that. If someone were to go to Copilot and say, "Hey, what's Brendan's salary?" The Copilot says, "Well, you don't have permission, but I do. Bingo, here it is." Is that actually a potential scenario?
Yes.
Huh. That's a problem.
Yeah. It's a good point, Chuck. Again, it can be, tightened down, right? I mean, that's the point. But default, no, it's reading everything. They're not really containerized the way that it should be. So nobody's trained. Again, 39% of employees who use AI at work have received no formal training on it, right? And again, this is Salesforce report from 2024. 61% of people using AI for work tasks have figured it out themselves, right? YouTube, a buddy, colleague, trial and error, maybe the thing catches on fire a few times, but they figure it out, right? So, and here's the nuance I think a lot of people are missing. Trained, and I'm doing air quotes, actually means three different things for three different audiences. Executives need to know what they approved, what risks they own, right? And what questions to ask a board setting. 60 to 90 minutes, that's it. 6 to 9 minutes, excuse me. 6 to 9, that's it. Show up to the board meeting and say, hey, here's what I'm asking. Now, managers, now they need to be able to ask their teams, what's okay, tell them yes, no, what isn't, and what to escalate. That's really half a day as far as training, right? Sit down with them. I'm a manager. I'm going to do this, 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 bing, bing, bing. Half a day, they're done. Employees, though, they need the actual hands-on stuff, right? Prompting what data never goes in, how to retrieve outputs. Typically, I think this is about a day if you do the hands-on labs. So, and if the client tells you, hey, we did training, I like to follow up with, okay, for which audience? One curriculum doesn't work for all three of those, right? Executives, managers, hands-on folks. What training did you do? I got it, but what training did you do? Number 9. So this is going to the shadow IT thing, right? So quick reality check on shadow AI, because I think most of the clients are underestimating this dramatically. They're underestimating it. So these percentages are estimated. It's basically a composite of Microsoft, Salesforce, and the other one was Cisco workforce surveys. But the pattern's real. So look at engineering, 74%, right? Sales, 71, marketing, 68, customer service, 58. These are people using personal AI tools for work tasks. Keyword there. Personal accounts for work tasks on personal accounts on their phones. 3 things to take to a client conversation about this. So, 1, blocking ChatGPT at the corporate firewall does basically nothing, right? Because again, phones exist, home networks exist, the data still goes in. Now, yes, there are ways to do this. You need some kind of a data governance gatekeeper solution. You can do that. But if they say, oh, we blocked it at the firewall, that doesn't do it because they can just whip out a phone, right? 2, so the policy employees they haven't been trained on that might as well not exist, right? If they've done it, it either hasn't been updated in years or it doesn't even exist anymore. So you can't enforce something that doesn't communicate. How are you supposed to do that, right? And number 3. So discovery starts with a short anonymous employee survey. Can be really 5 questions. That's it. Takes 10 minutes or so. But the results are usually pretty eye-opening, right? For the clients. And you'll be able to find that tenant configuration, which again, Scott mentioned tenant configuration. So hopefully, here we go, 10. So the exposure. All right. So data leakage, high risk. That's sensitive content showing up in summaries or drafts, getting forwarded outside the org. Most common at clients with loose SharePoint permission. So, Chuck, to your earlier point, the very loose permission, let's say that the salary question that you pose, right? What's Brendan's salary, right? Somebody that shouldn't have access to that, it might go and leave the company or proprietary information, things like that. Regulatory exposure, again, also high. HIPAA, GDPR, the EU AI Act, state privacy laws, basically AI interacting with regulated data without the disclosure or controls that regulations require. So this one's, again, that's a board level conversation. The contractual breach. medium risk. Most client confidentiality clauses were written before AI existed, right? We all have clients. Some of us on this call have had clients for, I would assume, 20, 30 years. People keep coming back. Some of that stuff doesn't get updated because AI is, it's not new to the world by any means. It was machine learning and it kind of just got reworded to AI. But those confidential clauses haven't really been updated. So they didn't contemplate AI reading the material. Going back to the Copilot piece, right? We weren't assuming that now this like entity is sitting on that laptop or corporate device and it is going through everything. So anyone with a professional service client should be paying attention to that for sure. Now, hallucination as authority, also a medium risk. So this is when the employee forwards something like, a Copilot output to a customer or a decision maker as if it's been fact checked, right? Copilot, what's blah, blah, blah. Send that off to whoever, right? So almost no clients have a review protocol for AI generated content. You ask it a question, it spits something out. You assume it's right. Because why not? Why wouldn't it be, right? The corporation that built it spent hundreds of billions of dollars building it. So of course it's going to be right, right? Not. Last one, IP contamination. Lower risk, but still, worth mentioning. This would be generated content with unknown training data, provenance, maybe shipped as a client-owned product. So again, just one thing to ask, especially for people that are in creative or legal work, right? Anybody on here that has clients that are in law, there was a judgment out of New York. This was about a month ago. I think it was Hagen versus the U.S. or Manhattan or state of New York. But basically, a gentleman was defending himself, and he used, I think in that case, it was Claude. And the argument was that, it was attorney privilege, right? Oh, I'm going to go to Claude, and how do I get out of this, right? And the state basically said, well, that doesn't actually fall under attorney privilege, so we can get access to your prompt. So that was interesting. All right, Steve, how are we doing on time? Take that as okay. So the consultant's opening move. This is us, right? So all good?
You're good on time. It's 12:44. So 5
Okay.
more minutes and then you want Q&A.
Oh no. I have so many to get through. Well, I'll send this to everybody that wants it.
No. Just keep going. You're fine. You're fine.
All right. So these are our questions. These are our big 5 questions that we can ask, right? Open the conversation. You can have them in your back pocket, bring them up casually in your next client check-in, right? Question 1, is Copilot turned on in your tenant right now? And who made that call? 2, which data sources can it see, right? SharePoint, OneDrive, Outlook, Teams, all of it. Number 3, do you have an AI acceptable use policy and have employees acknowledged it? Key point, right? They've read, acknowledged it. I will abide by this. 4, when were your SharePoint and file share permissions last reviewed? Again, typically years ago. And number 5, if an employee uses Copilot to draft something regulated, who reviews it before it goes out? Are they allowed to just draft something and it goes out? So if they can't answer those or they can't answer 3 of them, you found the engagement right there. You don't have to pitch it at a meeting. Just listen, ask the questions, take the notes. You can follow up afterwards. Hey, based on the conversation, here's a structured way to think about this, right? Something like that. But when you go in, just listen. Ask those questions and let them do the talking. All right. So that was part 1. Part 2, this is more of the assessment and readiness, right? So what you'll find in part 2, this will be the 5-step framework. It's a vendor neutral, it's repeatable, works for any size client, and it's grounded in 3 publicly available frameworks: the NIST AI Risk Management Framework and the CIS Microsoft 365 benchmarks. So you don't have to invent anything. Work's already been done. You just have to apply it. And I'll show you those down here. All right. So the readiness framework at a glance, 5 steps that we'll walk through here. So step 1, inventory and scope. Step 2, classification alignment. Step 3, controls assessment. Step 4, findings and roadmap. And then step 5, training and rollout, right? The reason this works is because it's the same shape as a standard IT assessment, which means your client is basically already used to buying it or using it, right? Oh, it's kind of like a security risk assessment. Great. So you're not selling them on a new motion. You're really just applying a familiar motion to a new domain, which in this case is this big thing called AI, right? All right. So inventory and scope. So before you recommend anything, do anything here, you got to know what's going on, right? Which is the whole point of inventory and scope. So inventory the Copilot license, who has them, what tier, the M365 apps and services in the tenant, the data sources Copilot can reach, any third-party AI tools in AI sanctioned use, and really important, known or suspected shadow AI, right? We're going to just ask them that up front. Hey, is there any suspected AI shadow here going on, right? But what's equally important here is what's out of scope. So at least for the first part of this, right? So custom model training, developer level API integration, broader AI strategy work, vendor selection for other AI tools, all that stuff. That would be separate engagement, if at all, right? So don't scope creep. Don't let the scope creep kill yourself, basically. So the deliverable for this, just a one-page in-scope, out-of-scope document, signed by the client sponsor before you bill any assessment hours. Don't skip it. It just saves you a lot of grief later. 15. All right. So this is classification alignment. So, and this is where you actually deliver the real value to the client. You take their existing data classification policy and update it to answer one new question for each tier. Can Copilot see it, right? Public data, yes. Okay, no problem. Marketing materials, anything published. Copilot can see it freely. Sure. Internal data, yes. But only after employees have completed training and acknowledged the policy. Internal memos, general operation docs, things like that, right? Confidential data. This is restricted, sensitive labels required, of course. Outputs reviewed before they leave the org, contracts, financial, strategy docs, things like that. Next would be regulated data. So no, let's just say no. Blocked at the tenant level via sensitive labels, right? DLP, which is data loss prevention, no admin controls, PHI, PII, PCI, anything subject to legal privilege, basically, right? That's it. 4 tiers, 1 new column. So it's not glamorous, but it's the most impactful thing that you'll do in that engagement. Now the controls. All right, controls assessment. So this is really just 3 different things. Block the tenant, right? And the message here is don't reinvent the wheel, use what's already available publicly, right? All 3 of these are all public. These aren't paywall, there aren't anything, you just find them online. So the CIS Microsoft 365 benchmark is a configuration hardened checklist. Again, it's free, accepted by most auditors, just use it. The NIST AI RMF 1.0 gives you the risk management functions, right? So that's like government, map, measure, manage. It's the structure regulators are starting to align around, basically. And the last one was Microsoft Purview controls. So since we're talking Microsoft, I threw Purview in here, especially with folks that have like an E5 license. It kind of comes, it's not free. Again, I'm doing air quotes, but it's typically given to them at a drastically deep cost. So sensitive labels, again, DLP, that's part of what Purview is, right? It's a data loss prevention. It helps map everything out, kind of show you where the data is. If it's Microsoft, that's a key point there. Communication compliance, insider risk management. So again, already most in E3 or an E5 license. Most clients aren't using them. So that's a quick conversation we can have, if you're comfortable with it, when you're the consultant, you can say, okay, what if we did a comparison here? Why don't we light up Purview and light something else up like, I don't know, Saira or something, right? And then you can walk them through, they can do a discovery. We're doing that right now for a Fortune 200 and because they have Purview, but they want to know what else is out there. So, right. So findings and roadmap, 4 steps. You take everything you found and you package it right into an executive little presentation, 10 minutes or less, 3 pieces. So part A of this, the 1-page executive summary, The top 5 risks, really just in plain English, 1 sentence, each one exposure, and 1 remediation step, right? Point B would just be the prioritized remediation roadmap. 30-day, 90-day, 6-month bucket of hours, whatever, the owner, the effort, the expected outcome on every item. And then C, the audit ready evidence pack, right? So that's the controls scored. That would be policy gaps documented, linked back to that NIST RMF framework that we talked about. So for whoever audits this client next year, right? CPA firm, whatever. So that's the deliverable that gets you the follow-up engagement. Right. Okay. So policy without training is decoration. I'll just say it. 3 audiences, 3 curricula, right? The executive one, 60 to 90 minutes, what they approved, what risks they own, board level questions, or questions to ask, the regulatory landscape. Now, the managers, right? That's that kind of half day, what's okay, what isn't, how to coach the team, how do you spot shadow AI, how to escalate. And then employees, that's usually more of a full day, ideally with hands-on labs again, just so they can actually like touch and feel, do stuff. Prompting fundamentals, what data never goes in, right? Don't do that, do this. How to review the outputs, how to actually use the tool as well. So if you can deliver any of those, you'll have a reoccurring engagement, right? They're going to come back to you. Hey, we like that. Now we got a bunch of new employees. Okay, great. Let's take them through it. So most clients will run training once, and then they need a refresher every 6 to 12 months, depending on it, right? Copilot capabilities obviously evolve. So that's always fun for us. We like to be billable, right, Steve?
What a concept.
What a concept. Yeah. Okay, so this is just a realistic client scenario. Okay. So this is composite. So pieces of 3 different real engagements, just kind of show how it like typically would play out. So mid-market professional services firm, maybe 400 employees, M365 E3 license, Copilot added at renewal 6 months ago, right? SharePoint, over 200 sites, permissions not reviewed in 3 years, right? Policy, 1 paragraph email when Copilot was turned on, training, none at that point. Trigger event. So a partner at the firm asked Copilot to summarize our top 10 client engagements. Got a clean summary back and pasted it into a prospect email, including details from clients who would not have wanted to be named in that pitch. That's how the conversation started, right? Again, this is a realistic but hypothetical conversation, right? So weeks 1 and 2. So this is like, we got the deal. Here we go. Weeks 1 and 2. So inventory and classification workshop, scope locked, right? What's in scope, what's not. Quick wins flagged. We disabled Copilot on 3 regulated SharePoint sites within the first week. That alone adjusted the engagement. Hey, we got more work. Weeks 3 to 5. Controls walkthrough, executive briefing, the findings package, right? The partner, the general counsel, and the IT director all in the same room, which in itself was the first time those 3 had talked about this. And that is true. That's not hypothetical. That is what happens when we are doing these engagements. Those 3 people or groups aren't talking to each other, which is always comical. Week 6 to 9, policy drafted. Imagine that. Training delivered. Yay. Sensitive labels rolled out. Quarterly review cadence set. All right. And then month 6, back for reassessment. That could turn into a follow-up, AI governance, broader M365 hardening, recurring revenue for us, right? Because it's more hours that we're working. So total time elapsed, 3 months. Total client outcome, they moved from completely unprotected to an audit ready with a process to staying that way. Righty. So how to scope it. And I only got 4 minutes left. Oh boy.
That's okay. Well, listen, we can always do a part B on this or do a recap on this, on another date soon. So, don't feel you got to finish this out, okay? It's great stuff.
I think I could rush it. I'll go through how to scope it. So 3 ways to package this work, depending on the client. The rapid readiness review, 2 to 3 weeks, right? Inventory, gap assessment, executive summary. This is your door opener, right? Leaves the client with a prioritized list and a reason to call you back, which we all love that callback. Hey, the full readiness program, 8 to 12 weeks, all 5 steps, right? Policy's been drafted, controls assessed, training delivered to at least 2 of the 3 audiences would be preferred. Or the ongoing AI governance advisory, right? So this is kind of like your retainer work, quarterly reviews, policy updates, new tools, 2 evaluation brought up board updates. This is where the recurring revenue comes in for us hourly, right? Buy a bucket of hours from me and you get my time. So most of them, though, would start with that rapid review. Get in the door, things like that. Okie dokie. So how to position this? We all love a good position. All right, so don't position it as an AI project. Sounds like an IT thing and gets routed to the CIO who might not feel it's his ownership. Don't call it a policy review. Sounds bureaucratic, sounds like a compliance theater. Don't sell it as training. Sounds like a one and done point deliverable. And whatever you do, don't call it a security audit. Don't cry, Scott. So that triggers defensiveness immediately. Nobody wants to hear they failed an audit. It's true, right? What does work? Positioning it as protecting what's already running, catching up to what the employees are already doing, a governance layer the board is going to ask about anyway, or my favorite, unlocking value the client is already paying for but isn't using safely. Yes, Chuck.
Okay, I know what not to call it. What do you call it?
So the green over here.
Well, all right. So I'm calling you up. I'm not going to give you an AI prompt. I'm selling you these are, is there like a title or a theme that what are we calling this thing? I can't just say, I'd like to come and talk about protecting what's already running. In other words, there has to be a name. It's not an AI project. It's not a policy review. It's a
AI governance advisory is what his message
AI
is.
governance advisory. I like it.
Yes.
Or
That's what I'm
readiness.
looking for.
We often
Okay.
use the word readiness.
Yep.
Ready.
So here's what, Chuck? Oh,
No, I was
okay.
just repeating it out loud, but Scott just added so I can write it down and remember it.
Cool. So this is kind of the common pushback, right? There's obviously probably more, but we already have a security team for this. Great. First of all, acknowledge them, right? They'll want to know that this is on the docket. AI governance spans security, privacy, and operations. So you're integrating their work, not replacing it. That's how we position this. Not replacing you. We're just adding, some little help over here, right? This is my probably favorite. Microsoft says, sorry, I keep getting pop-ups. Microsoft says it's secure out of the box, right? We've all heard that one. It is, first of all, from their side, but not the tenant configuration, right? The data permissions, user behavior, client's responsibility, right? That's where the exposure sits. We're too small to worry about this. Okay, fine. Mid-market firms, they're the most common for a breach scenario.
Yeah,
because
right.
their governance is light, right?
Right.
And regulators don't have a size on floor. Regulators don't care how small you are, especially if you're a defense contractor or attached to one. You could be making bolts for Boeing. It's still important, right? We'll do it next year when it matures, right? Well, I'd like to mature. The AI Act timeline and state privacies don't wait. They just don't, right? Texas just came out with one, TRIAGA, right? It technically last year, but it went into effect January 1st, which, by the way, webinar on that, I think tomorrow. Employees are already using it. The risks are occurring whether the client acts or not. Okay. Takeaways, because I know I'm out of time. So 1, client already turned it on. Your job is governance, not procurement. You're not selling them AI, right? 2, existing data classification doesn't map to AI reach. That's 1 step of every engagement. So 3, the frameworks, they already exist, right? We got the NIST AI RMF, CIS, Microsoft 365 benchmark, free, use them. 4, training is 3 curricula, not 1. Execs, managers, and employees each need their own. 5, it's repeatable. Don't oversell it. Just open the door. Run the framework. Deliver the report. The work scales. All right. Resources. I can send this to everybody if they want. And I think I was told I had to put my contact information. So if anyone wants to take a picture, I'm trying to follow directions, Steve, you know?
Yeah, you're doing well. You're doing
The
well.
question is, Brendan, is it authorized to send this to non-SCTC folks that are participating here but aren't members?
No, no, this is a
Okay,
members only
let's
kind of
make
thing,
sure
I
that
would
we have
think.
our NIST people on that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was it. I'll actually have a break here. The movers aren't here, so I'll pop on
Bravo
so you
there.
know I'm not an AI.
Okay,
Although, how do you know? I could
that's
be an
true.
AI.
So, Brendan, your organization does the training itself.
Correct.
So, if Chuck's company wanted to go sell one of these audits but wasn't geared up to do the training, we could go sell it and then hire you guys to do the training. Is that potential?
Bolt on to you, white label it, come in as a partner. I've got documents I can send on it, kind of more like the flow, if you will.
Yeah, good
But
stuff.
the point of this is just we can all do this. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of it, right? AI is here, slap this in the face, but it's like it still applies to everybody.
Hmm.
And we as consultants, we have the not the opportunity, we have the requirement to be asking our folks this, right? Some
Hmm.
of us have been helping people for 20, 30 years, you know?
Hmm.
This is something we can all do. Ask them the questions.
Hmm.
I had one comment. So I talked to a previous customer yesterday, telecom engineer that inherited everything from the three people that retired. That I trained to do the night manage the 911, but now he's doing all things via. And he said, C3 is talking us into going AI. And I told him to keep an eye on Avaya. He needs a 5-year plan, that kind of thing. And I said, there's a whole list of data compliance when you add AI. He said, I don't do security. I'm not on the security team. I'm like, well, if you're going to add it into telecom, you need to understand it. So, yeah, it's funny, like it's hands off. I don't do security. Yeah.
Yeah, people don't want the responsibility of it, or it changes so quick. Like I have two Claude accounts separate. I have SuperGrok, I have ChatGPT, and Copilot. They're all great at other stuff, but every day it changes, right? Something new comes out, and these regulations are not keeping up with it. I mean, they can't even keep up with the construction of these
Yeah,
facilities, right?
Yeah.
for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
So they
and the
need our
other,
help.
I wanted to clarify because I've been picking Brendan's brain too, because I'm focused on this also in introducing them to potential customers. I'm working on that, and because it's huge, and their team does great work. And um, I forgot my doggone point. I thought it twice and I forgot it. Senior moment. Sorry.
Well, listen, we are over time, so um, thanks, Melinda, and thanks, Brendan, for a great presentation today. I think we all got something out of it today. And I'm going to take the liberty of saying that, if some of us want to learn and partner with you alongside you, we can do that too. So again, there's strength in numbers and yeah, because we've had some sidebars on that, of course. So I'm
And
taking
that
some liberty
was
here.
my point that Brendan is very customizable, right? So it's like Burger King. You order it your way, right?
I'll take it. I'm gonna put my email in the chat if anyone wants it. I could
Mhm.
spell, that'd be great.
And we'll have additional sessions, of course, on this, Brendan, as you mentioned earlier, like we've been talking. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Thank you.
thanks for
Okay.
having
Thanks,
me.
everyone. Bye.